Hey, it's James, Parents' Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got custody. So when you go to court, um, it all starts with the law, like I say in a lot of my videos. But when you get to court, it's about your argument and persuading a total stranger into why you should win. A lot of guys go to court and they'll say, I went to court and I told them my story and they didn't believe me. They can't do that. Or I went to court and I proved my case, or I showed that she's on drugs and they still gave her custody. I went to court and I said this and said that. It's not just how you just it's not just you go to court and say something. It's not just that you go to court and you tell the truth. You're not entitled to automatically win. And this fast food drive-through quickie TikTok immediate access stuff society, people want to get a quick answer and walk into court and get, everything that they asked for because they're telling the truth. Do you think those guys that are in prison who are innocent were able to just waltz into court and tell the truth and they won? There's innocent people in jail. Anybody who's over 10 years old who watches TV and seen a legal movie or Law and Order knows that there's some wrongful stuff going on in the justice system. So you don't get to walk into court and be unprepared and not ready to make an overwhelmingly obvious, persuasive argument and tell your story passionately, and just you automatically get to win. You're going to court. You've seen legal movies before. They don't go in there and say, hey, my client's innocent. Thank you, jury. And then they go sit down. Like, some guys are such entitled divas, and they got the mind of a welfare mother. They think they can just walk into court and tell the truth and that's it. Or this isn't right. I should get justice. Yeah, everybody should. But you live in an imperfect world with a bunch of liars. And in family court, you got an anti-father court system. Right after World War II, Jews probably didn't do too well in criminal court. There's probably still a bunch of bigotry and bias. Japanese people didn't do well when with their freedoms in, I guess it's World War One. Anyway, we're worried about Japanese spies spying on us. And so we just threw Japanese citizens in concentration camps in case they were spies. So you're not the first person in the world who may have an obstacle or a challenge or your rights being violated. Men won't tolerate somebody, shamming them when it comes to a lemon car, or, they go in for a tune-up and they charge $400. We found this part and that part, and so we replaced it and we're charging this. I didn't ask for that. You'll stand up for yourself passionately when it comes to your money, your dog, your tool set, your cars, your valuables. When it comes to your kids, you get all soft and think you can half-ass it and lazily skip into court, and then you just walk in and walk out because you're a good dad. It doesn't work that way. You need to know the law and shove the law in a judge's face. If I go into court nowadays and I'm being deprived of my kid's mom, or my kid's mom is depriving me of her. Like, I went into court before and I'm like, look, this lady's withholding the child from me. That's some kind of child abuse. Like, I didn't know what to call it then. But today I would walk in and say, a lot of you guys walk in and say, I'm a good dad. Here's some pictures. I get to work on time. I've only missed one day of work this year. My coworkers say I'm a nice guy. All this totally irrelevant bullcrap that you're wasting time with because you paint your own image in your mind of what you think the court wants to hear, and you don't. Even if you study the law, to be honest with you, if you're going to court, you need to consult with me into dealing with how to talk in court. Unless you study all my videos thoroughly and you get this stuff down and you look at it and you absorb it like I have, or other guys have who study. There's some guys who never got a consult with me. They watch all my videos. They went to court, studied court. And those guys who actually care enough and have some balls enough to want to study hard and fight for their kids that way, those are the ones who win in court. There's a bunch of comments on my TikTok especially, and comments on YouTube. I went to court and I got railroaded and this and that. You're talking to a guy who won. You think I want to hear you piss and moan and whine and cry about your losing strategy? Why don't you say, wow, James won, I lost. Let me talk to James and see what he did to win. That's a common sense conclusion. If you got something wrong with your car and there's some rattling under the hood and you don't know what it is, and you try and fix it and it's still a problem, or anything you try and fix, and a buddy had a car, he fixes cars, or he fixed his car that had the same problem, you wouldn't say, well, I tried to fix it and it didn't work and my car sucks, and whine and cry and pound. You'd say, what did you do? Or will you take a look at my car? But for some damn stupid ass reason, People get on my page and say, yeah, let me tell you, James, how I lost. Let me tell you how the court system sucks. Are you coming on to tell your loser story? Or are you coming here to get some help? Like I'd say over and over, you don't go to Michael Jordan's basketball camp and say, Mr. Jordan, can you stop teaching us how to do dribbling drills and shooting drills? I want to tell you the story of how I got cut from my basketball team in my freshman year and my sophomore year. Please let me tell the story. Are you there to learn from him or just whine, piss, and moan? I mean, it's insane how psychotic some of these people are. They come on my page. I got answers to help them win, and all they want to do is piss and moan at how they lost. I obviously did something right, and you did something wrong. Now, it's not 100% guarantee if you do the right things, you're going to win, but you obviously did something wrong. Why don't you get some help and get ready for the next hearing? I get a lot of people who watch my videos, go to court. They don't do half of what I say or anything that I say. They go to court and they tell me afterward, I went to court, I've been watching your videos and I got creamed. Your stuff doesn't work. Did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do that? No. Why don't you call me ahead of time and get ready for the hearing? You don't study for a final exam or a quiz after it's over with, do you? Like my gender lost their damn mind. These women are plotting and scheming months ahead of time to destroy you in court and setting you up. And your dumbass waits till after a court hearing if you're getting railroaded to get any help. Come on, we got to do better than that. So, but when I go to court, I'm going to go to court and I'm going to say, look, like let's say I just talked to a couple guys in California today. Your Honor, Family Code 3020B says that the legislature intends that both parents have meaningful relationship with the kid despite the breakup. Every psychologist, counselor, pastor, politician says, Dad, step up to the plate and be in your kid's life. Children need kids. 100% of America is on board with that. Every scientist, every psychologist, all the data says that. Who's the only person in the entire world that doesn't want? She not only wants equality between the two equal parents, this lady over here doesn't want me to see the kid at all, or only for a few hours at a time. Now, the science says that children need a father in the home full time or they're at risk for psychological issues, depression, suicide, alcohol, drug abuse, teenage pregnancy. All these things are putting the kid at risk and the mother's intentionally doing it. Here I am, I'm the problem solver, I'm available, and the mother deprives the child of me or a meaningful relationship with his or her father. If the mother deprived the child of water and gave the child food or vice versa, we would call her a child abuser. The next most important thing in the kid's life, she deprives the child of. And she's intentionally putting the child in all these at-risk categories. She's harming the child on purpose because she hates me more than she loves the child. In fact, actually, she is unfit because she has no normal maternal instincts. You know what a normal mother or father, their number one characteristic is? Unselfishness. She's selfish. She uses the child as a tool and weapon to manipulate the child for her vindictive vendetta against me. She's intentionally using the child as an inanimate object to try and harm me. That's sick in the head. We need her psychologically evaluated. She cannot make good decisions. And if I'm in Florida, I'll say, Florida statute, I forget what it was, 6113 or 6313. It says one of the factors is which parent is willing to facilitate a relationship with the other parent. She totally flunks that factor. She's an unfit parent. That child is being deprived of another parent in a home that's anti-father. It's toxic in that home. Hatred for the father is going to be taught in that home. We need to rescue the child from this toxic, abusive situation. And the psychological and emotional abuse of depriving the child of a father like this, that's probably way worse than physical abuse because bruises heal. The psychological stuff in your brain, in your heart, and your soul, and the stuff that affects you mentally, those scars are hard to dig up and heal and work with through therapy and things like that. She's intentionally harming the child for her own personal, psychotic, narcissistic, vindictive vendetta against me. She hates me more than she loves the child. And all the science and data says the child is harmed when I'm not in the home full time. And the statute in California says we want meaningful relationships between both parents. That's at least 50-50 for you to start. So since the child is automatically being harmed by not being in my home, you need to, if you do anything less than give me custody, you need to make a finding as to why you're doing less than giving me custody, because that's harmful for the child to not be in my home full time. If you do something different, it better be because being with me is more harmful than the harm of being away from me. So it's automatically harmful to be away from me. So if you keep the child away from you, there better be a harm, like I'm molesting the child, I'm beating the snot out of the child. But there's no evidence of that because I've never done that. I'm a loving, devoted father. So you should rescue the child from the toxic, abusive, manipulative mother who thinks the child is a paycheck and an inanimate object. She has no normal maternal instinct. She will not have a nurturing home. She will have an unhealthy, hateful home. If I was black and the mother was white and the mother's parents, that she lived with her parents and they're dropping the N-word all the time, you would rescue the child from that home because you don't want the child in that toxic situation. Well, they're dropping the anti-father words all the time over there, or the atmosphere is toxic over there. There's a culture of anti-father hatred over there. You need to rescue the child, and you have a duty of care to the public to serve the public. We voted you in. We pay your salary. The Code of Judicial Conduct said you need to maintain the public's confidence in the judicial system. And if you are releasing kids to mothers like this, who are toxic and depriving the child of the most important thing in their life, statistically speaking, according to the science, then you're releasing kids into dysfunction, and you're creating a society filled with dysfunctional kids and problems. You have a duty of care and allegiance to the child and the child's welfare. This isn't about me versus her as much as it is about where's the best place for the child. And then all the science and all the data is very clear. Will you believe the science, Your Honor? Will you start believing the science? I know the court is used to giving the dads every other weekend, but that's because of some kind of culture or routine or bigotry. We used to, give black people the electric chair as soon as they're accused of raping a white woman. We used to intern Japanese in America in the First World War. I think it's First World War. I can't remember which one was it, versus Japan. We dropped the bomb. And we violated their constitutional rights. The courts were violating, Brown versus Board of Education until the 50s. We thought separate was equal. The courts have a history of getting this stuff wrong, and you can't do it out of routine. Every family is not a cookie-cutter family. You need to look at the facts of the case. You need to look at the science. You need to look at the data and not force a child to be another dysfunctional kid who grows up without a father. That's what the mother wants because she doesn't care about the child. You can't place a child with somebody who doesn't love the child and loves themselves and their selfish, personal, vindictive vendetta, and they're using the child as a weapon. That's actually very sick and twisted and sociopath-like and narcissistic. You don't want one of the factors in the law is if they have any mental health issues, you have to consider that. When you consider the totality of things, you need to rescue the child immediately and place the child with me. And the mother in her paperwork said that, the child's only 2.5, a father can't handle. Tender years doctrine. Well, the tender years doctrine is 1860s doctrine. Are we going to use caveman outdated science? That isn't caveman days, but that's almost the dark ages. According to psychology and the data we have today, why are we going to go back that far? And the statistics are very clear in my Exhibit A, where the London Journal of the London Journal of Childcare says that there's a growing body of evidence that children need both parents and bonds with both parents, or else their brains and their emotions and their psychological development doesn't develop properly. She is forcing our child to not develop properly. She's intentionally putting the child in an at-risk category. If I go and move into an impoverished, criminal-stricken neighborhood or a gang-banging neighborhood, and I can afford to move out here to the suburbs or this farmland or this other place, and there's places available, I'm immediately putting the child in a greater at-risk category to be subject to a drive-by shooting or grow up in a situation where they'll get tempted to get into violence, as opposed to if I move over here. So I'm an unfit parent if I stay over here and don't move, and I'm putting my child in an at-risk category. The mother's intentionally doing that right now. See, if you have an appointment with me, you'll learn this kind of stuff. I can't say all this stuff in every video about every situation because I don't know your situation. You're stupid to not get a consult with me if you've seen me and you're about to go to court and you don't know what you're doing and your attorney's not telling you a strategy and you don't know exactly what the attorney's going to say in court, or if you have an attorney, you tell him what to do or you ask him what to do. I just talked to a guy. I said, what do you want? He said 50-50. And he started telling me how the mother was crazy. I'm like, why don't you want to get full custody of your kid? Well, I do. Why'd you tell me you want 50-50? Well, I didn't think that was possible. Stop being a punk-ass bitch and not speaking up for yourself and crapping on your own fatherhood. Follow your conscience. I was talking privately with the guy and he said that. Not that he's a punk like that, but the average guy out there, you go into court and I don't want to ask because it's not possible. You know how many people go to court? You know how many prosecutors go to court and they know they're not going to win prosecuting somebody for assault and they end up, copping a plea to trespassing? They overcharge so that you'll cop a plea to this. People sue for $1 million in hopes to get $50,000. But you all of a sudden, oh, I don't know if I can even ask for that. You can ask for whatever you. Is somebody going to kill you if you ask for something and you don't get it? Grow some balls. So you have to have a persuasive argument. You're not entitled to get to anything. You have to win with a persuasive argument with the law.